let's now speak to a very good friend of the show, the highly respected former government minister and best-selling author, Anne Widdecombe. Anne, does this stink to you?
Yes, but it always has. It had from the moment that Harriet Harman was put in charge of that committee. She'd already said in public that she believed that Boris had broken the rules. So she came with a fixed opinion. So yes, it does. I think the Conservatives would be very stupid indeed if they tried to get rid of yet another Prime Minister at this stage. I think they've now just got to stick with Rishi. They will lose the next general election. They will probably lose very badly Nadine Dorris's seat, which has got a huge Tory majority. And if they do that, then I think their fate is sealed. You know, I have my head in my hands sometimes. This is a party that came in under Boris's leadership with a majority of 80. It's a party that began that parliament by actually winning by-elections, the government winning by-elections. Now look where they are. Just look where they are.
Now, Anne, what of this talk of Boris Johnson leading a breakaway centre-right party, possibly in partnership with a party that you're supporting, Reform UK?
Well, there is already not a breakaway, there is already a right of centre party, and yes, it's called Reform UK. And yes, it's not polling too badly at the moment. So I'm sure that would be considered. But the fact is that Boris, who promised to get Brexit done, did not give us Brexit, and he did betray Northern Ireland. So there is quite a lot there to get over, and I don't think people should be too excited now. You know, is Boris going to come back? Is he going to stand in a by-election? Is he going to do this, that and the other thing? I think we would be much better advised to approach this quite calmly and to see what eventuates, particularly at those by-elections.
Indeed. Now, Anne, I think we can all agree you write Boris Johnson off at your peril, although it would look like his future within the Conservative Party is not looking wildly hopeful, is it? Do you not think he's burned so many bridges with those backbenchers that any hope that if he won in a seat, an alternative seat like Henley at the next election, that they'd welcome him back as leader with open arms? That's not going to happen, is it?
Well, I think he would be a very, very controversial choice. I think he knows that. But the fact is, this is a man who won a general election with an 80-seat majority. If Rishi Sunak goes on to lose a general election, probably losing even more seats than that, and gets a derisory result, then I think the party and the country will say, hang on, who delivers for us? Who delivers? But, you know, that's up to them.
And Widdecombe, can I, apologies for interrupting you. You interrupt Anne Widdecombe at your peril as well. Anne, does this strike you as potentially an establishment coup, or even, dare I say it, a Remainer coup?
Oh, I think the Remainers have a tremendous hand in the whole anti-Boris scenario right from the start. Right from the start, they were furious that Boris won on that promise, which he did not fulfil, which was to get Brexit done. What he got done was not a Brexit at all, and as I say, it betrayed Northern Ireland. But the Remainers have always hated him for that. And yes, I mean, I think that, you know, their hands are in this. Their hands are on the tiller, but they're driving the ship towards the rocks. They don't realise it.
What about Boris Johnson's motivation now that he's out of the Commons? He's going to make a few quid, isn't he? He's going to have a newspaper column, I would have thought. He'll finish all the book contracts that he's signed up for. Perhaps he'll become a GB News presenter. Let me put it on record that Boris Johnson can come to this channel and host a show. I've been receiving texts from the boss, and this is not a drill. That's right. We are... breaking news, offering Boris Johnson a show on GB News. He's got the time, and of course he's got the talent. He's not as good as Nigel Farage, but we'll train him up. So, Anne Widdecombe, what do you anticipate Boris Johnson, notwithstanding that kind offer from GB News, will do next?
I think you probably summed it up. He's got books to finish. He's got contracts, literary contracts to fulfil. He'll almost certainly get a newspaper column. I imagine he'd get one just for the asking. And he will concentrate on making money. And maybe at some stage he will want to come back. He's not a man who gives up that easily. Maybe he will want to come back. But for the time being, he and the party that he once led are in the most almighty mess. They are a laughingstock. The The party I served for 55 years is a laughing stock.
And can I just put a spanner in the works here and ask a slightly balancing question? Isn't this rather petulant behaviour from Boris Johnson? Isn't he one big crybaby? After all, he's brought a lot of this political scandal on himself, particularly the chaotic scenes at Number 10 during the pandemic.
Well, you could say that he's brought some of it on himself, but I think an awful lot of the campaign against him has been pretty malicious. I don't think he's a crybaby. I think his honours list is saying, "Yah, boo," to the party. And then he's saying, "Oh, by the way, I'm off and you don't know what I'm going to do next." And I don't think that that is an act of petulance. I think that's an act of a man who knows that he's got no immediate future in the party. So he's going to go off and do something else, but reserve his position. I don't see anything wrong with that. The fact is most prime ministers, when they're ousted, crawl away. I think he will take a very different approach.
And